Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Pony 411, the podcast all about My Little Pony. And I'm Nemesis, and I'm recovering from a cold, so if I sound a little weird, sorry.
You
and
always sound
joining me
weird.
This week is 4-String.
Hi, I'm back. I missed everyone, all two of you. You're great.
He got over his case of death.
Yeah. I listened last week, and you guys were talking about me dying or something. And I was like, that's exactly what happened.
Exactly. He just couldn't handle it anymore.
I couldn't handle. I did not pony responsibly, and it led me to a depression.
We warned you.
We told you about the ponies,
guys.
bro. Warned you, dog. No, I was just busy with all the things, but I am, at least for this week, able to talk about things like failing conventions and I don't know, because there's no new episodes anymore. So
yeah, so no more new episodes for who knows how long.
I came back at a bad time.
Yeah, but we do, yeah, like he kind of alluded to just now, some big thing just happened in the fandom, and not exactly a good thing, though, and we'll get to that later in our discussion, but first, some quick hits. The Brony documentary is now available on Blu-ray and DVD, as well as an extra 3 hours of interviews with Lauren Faust, Tara Strong, and John Delancey. A trailer for interviews has also been released on YouTube. And in that trailer, Lauren Faust kind of reveals something about Twilight that kind of shook a lot of people to the core, which was she always intended her to be Celestia's successor. Which is like, oh. Which in other words means, hey, guess what? Become a princess. So, yeah, there's that.
Unless she became a dictator, but not like a good dictator, like a bad one.
Yeah.
But like not like an alicorn one, just a unicorn one. I don't know. King Sombra did it. You never know.
You never know. But anyway, Main 6, the developers of Fighting is Magic, have released another very long statement regarding this recent cease and desist they received. Basically, it's an FAQ and stuff about, well, what happened and what's going to happen in the future now that they can't really work on this anymore. Just check that out if you're actually, concerned about the project in general. Anyway, Fourth Dimension Entertainment has announced that they will be making plushies. And the good news is they actually are show accurate. The line will kick off with Twilight Sparkle, the unicorn version, and the rest of the main 6 will follow, and they will be $25 each. So no matter having to go on eBay and spending like $300 something just to get a show accurate plushie anymore.
Praise the Lord.
Praise based Hasbro.
Thank you, based God. Seriously, though, maybe I'll actually buy a plush now. Except no, I won't. That's weird.
Oh.
And everybody who does it is weird.
Oh. You saying something? You want to say that to my face?
Excuse me? Did you say something? You can't tell me nothing. Kanye West, 2000. Was that 2007? Anyway.
Yeah. 20XX.
You probably totally didn't miss me derailing every single thing. Did you? With stupid pop culture references that, like, only I think is funny.
Anyway.
Kanye West, guys.
Yeah, woo. Anyway, Swag.move has finally been released. So if you've been itching to see the end of this graphic series, check it out on YouTube.
And it is glorious.
Yes. What was it? 15, 17 minutes?
15 minutes long, I think, yeah. Yeah, it was totally worth the wait, I think, too.
Yes, but there's implications that there might be more in the future. So, dun dun dun.
Yeah, I don't think Max is gonna leave the Brony fandom that easily. As much as he talks about thinking we're weird, he secretly loves us.
The ride never ends.
Maybe he doesn't, but I mean, we get him some money, so I mean, you got to put that in perspective, at least.
Yeah. Anyway. The season 3 finale apparently did very well according to the Nielsen ratings. In fact, it outperformed its competitors like Nickelodeon, Disney, Cartoon Network, and more.
Good.
So yeah, very good job on their part.
Woohoo! I'm assuming it was because of the brilliant performance turned in by the Miss. Was it Miss America? What was she?
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, I think everybody just tuned in to see that. They're like, oh hey,
yeah, of course.
There's horses, but there's also her. Just saying. That's why I tuned in. I didn't care about anything else.
Right. So anyway, speaking of that finale, more info about the Princess Twilight Sparkle DVD has been released, namely the episodes included with it. There are Games Ponies Play, Mystery on the Friendship Express, Magic Duel, Lesson Zero, and of course, Magical Mystery Cure. The DVD will release April 30th for $12.99.
Or if you come to the Toys R Us I work at, it'll probably be even less because we're going through liquidation.
Oh no.
Just saying, LOL.
That's if they're still around by that point.
Yeah, actually they won't be. We'll be in the new store by then. Never mind.
Well,
but if you want to get some of the other DVDs, I'm sure we have them for like 40% off right now.
So go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, a new Friendship is Witchcraft episode has also been released and is called Foley Matropony. The series has its own website now, as has been announced a couple weeks ago, and so go there and check it out, along with their previous episodes if you haven't watched them yet, you shameful person.
Yeah, it was a pretty good week for like fan video content, like the big players. I mean, I would kind of argue that Friendship is Witchcraft and the Dot Move series are like the two biggest ones.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
We got them both this week. It was a good week.
Dun, dun, dun. And finally, speaking of more fan content, Double Rainboom, the well-known fan episode, has just released a trailer with a release date. The episode will premiere on March 30th on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's been in the works for like 2 years or something like that. So, and that was the quick hits. Woo!
Yay! Good job.
Yeah. So anyway, we do have some discussions. Actually, several discussions, not just one. First off, though, we're going to talk a little bit about Unicon, but not what you're probably thinking. We're going to actually talk about news about the show from Unicon to start things off with.
Go.
And just, so, yeah, several panels which revealed quite a bit of information about Season 3 and Season 4. Namely, one thing, which has already been well known, but now definitely, Amy Keating Rogers, she's back on the show. She's writing for Season 4. So, ready for that. The Season 3 finale was written back in November of 2011, which, so yeah, there was no, like, it was really, like, written really quickly because Hasbro said so. It was written almost, a year and a half ago. The writers have admitted they had no idea what Star Swirl's spell was actually going to do, which is not surprising because have you ever seen TV shows nowadays? It's like, let's just make some vague reference, the fans will figure it out for us.
There you go.
The Season 4 opener, because, as a lot of you know, Megan McCarthy kind of alluded to that there's going to be a two-parter at the beginning of Season 4, which is very much directly linked to the finale. And Season 4 opener will focus on Twilight's fears and questions after becoming a princess. So that'll probably also help with the fears and questions that the fandom has after Twilight became a princess. There's that. Apparently the Rarity episode was cut from the season because, well, what happened was she was initially the main pony in Spike at Your Service, but they decided she was being too mean and just replaced her with Applejack.
Aww.
So, thinking about it, that actually would make Spike at Your Service more tolerable because now it makes sense as to why Spike can't seem to do anything right. He's just too focused on Rarity.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would have made more sense.
Oh, well.
Now as it stands, well. But yeah, Rarity episodes will be in Season 4, so if you're a Rarity fan and you were upset about that, she'll be back. Oh, and the writers kept stressing about, hey, guess what? Hasbro isn't bad. Calm down. They don't, force us to do a bunch of stuff we don't like. So, that was the common theory about this. The finale was, hey, this whole Twilight Princess thing was all Hasbro's meddling, and looks like all this evidence is mounting up that wasn't really the case. The IDW thing, apparently there's going to be still a bit of a division between IDW and the show, the IDW comics.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a lot of people have noticed, the Alicorn Twilight has not been in the comics yet, and apparently they were taken by surprise by the announcement because they had no idea. And now they're trying to figure out how to do this. So,
and
interesting. Yeah, that's some stuff right there. Just see what else was there. There's actually quite a bit. Daniel Ingram's panel had stuff like apparently the cutie marks the cutie mark switching actually not only changed their cutie marks and stuff, but also actually changed history. So yeah, the history was changed entirely as well. So that's probably why they were so upset. It's because why suddenly can't I do this anymore?
Very interesting.
Would have been, yeah. But of course they had it cut for time. Apparently Twilight originally got her wings during the Element Harmony Blast, and then they later added the dimension star thing, whatever that was. The finale was always, well, almost always. They always wanted to do a musical episode. Initially, episode 12 was going to be the musical, and then they just swapped it over to the finale. They did want it to make it a two-parter, so yeah, there was all that complaining about, pacing. But yeah, so there was going to be it was going to be a two-parter, but they decided to crunch it down. I'm willing to bet they crunched it down probably because they only had 13 episodes, and it's like, well,
yeah.
Let's see. He confirmed that there was, in fact, an Art of the Dress reference in what Makuta Mark is telling me. Celestia's song was initially going to be longer than what we got.
Uh-huh.
And they're also going to tell us a little bit about her history, which would have been interesting.
That'd be really cool.
Get that later.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because everyone's been wondering, like, how the heck did they become princesses? Where did they come from? Yeah.
Exactly. We need that. It will be nice to have, at least.
I speculated this elsewhere, not on this podcast, but it's like, Twilight is inquisitive. She'll probably ask him, like, how did you become a princess? How did you deal with this?
Yeah.
Help.
Maybe that'll be season 4 thing.
Hope. Oh, yeah, and it confirmed something that's already was kind of known, was Tara Strong doesn't sing for Twilight simply because of distance. He kind of wants to do a song with Discord or Luna, which should be fun.
Well, I did hear that Delancey's been back in the booth, the recording booth for...
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So, who knows?
Yes, this is something a lot of us will like. Hasbro wants to do an official soundtrack of the songs and the background music. So, but this just basically stuff like legal issues and royalties just kind of might make it not profitable for them, but who knows?
It'd be cool to see.
Yeah, it would. I think we both probably buy a copy.
Yeah, I could see myself doing that.
Yeah.
Playing it everywhere. Except probably not.
Oh, and fun fact, at one point, Pinky was going to be the only one who sang in the entire show, period.
I think that would have been interesting.
Indeed. Just the only one.
I mean, wasn't she the only one for a while? For like winter wrap-up or something?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. At first, she was the only one who sang, but yep. So,
interesting.
Yeah, the Winter Wrap-Up was the first one that had more than Pinky singing, I think.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention something else. Apparently, they kind of hinted that Trixie might return yet again.
Of course, she will.
Of course. Not a lot more. Just they did. I've known that before that Tara Strong and stuff. Others have also confirmed. Twilight staying in Ponyville. No freaking out about her going to Catalog and disappearing or anything. Tara Strong said, "Hey, yeah, Twilight's still going to be the same. She's not going to be like act all high and mighty."
Well, that's good.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure people are still going to say though, oh well, this just totally changes her inherent character and da 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 da.
I've seen so many people just out of just seriously say, "I can't believe they did this. She used to be my favorite character, but now she's horrible. I hate her.
Now she's my least favorite."
It's like, are you serious? Because she got a pair of wings.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, in the finale, she even asked, "Is there a book on being a princess? How much more Twilight can you get?"
They must not be big fans of Red Bull. Am I right?
I guess.
Anyway. Just shoot me into the sun. It's okay.
It's just, so it's just a lot of interesting information. That was kind of an overview, and I mean, there's a lot more. You can definitely find write-ups on like Reddit and Equestria Daily easy, but a lot of it's like a lot of it was also just stuff like, how do you configure out your character and stuff like that, which is cool, but not really news. So I guess. Unless you got anything to add to all that stuff I just spieled off.
I mean, a lot of interesting stuff for sure. I mean, nothing really stands out as like a super oh my god thing. It's just a lot of, I think it's the usual at most of these conventions. Like you get little tidbits of information that are interesting and you move on from there. And that's about it. And
yes. And then hope. And hope we don't have to wait 9 months.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, I don't know if anybody asked if there was a time frame.
Yeah, no.
Or if they could even answer that if they didn't know, but
we just gotta hope it'll at least premiere September or something.
Yeah.
Hopefully, at least.
That's the hope, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so I guess moving on to the other part of Unicon. in case you didn't know, Unicon didn't exactly go off without a hitch. It kind of, imploded. So, I guess, yeah, so just in case you didn't know, basically what happened was all of a sudden on Sunday, a bunch of sites like EQD, Derpy Hooves News, Dailyo, all of them are saying, hey, Lost Pegasus is like, hey, we need you to donate money. A bunch of voice actors and show staff and stuff are like now being stuck foot the bill. Their promise would be paid for them, and we got a bunch of like fan musicians and stuff are now stuck in Vegas and stuff, and they need money to get out. So basically, I think Fourth String, you kind of have a better idea of what's going on. Could you at least kind of give a brief summary?
Well, I'm gonna talk about everything that I can remember seeing, which admittedly I don't remember seeing a whole. I mean, it's been a couple days now, or because this stuff first started popping up on Sunday, as was said, and I know of 2 people who attended, and both of which actually ended up helping out at the convention as part of staff, but weren't core staff or anything. But they were not reachable during the con, so I couldn't go up and ask them, be like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" But it just started coming in on Twitter. There were a lot of things going on about people saying, people are getting kicked out of their rooms, and the con schedule had been changed, and some things were canceled, and after a while, there became a thing with a final draft from Everfree Network, and I believe Elite Tokar. It came out and said, basically we need to raise some money. There's no money to pay for the convention and for the guests and everything. Because from what I understand, the contract, and this is from what I understand. I don't know if this is actually fact or not, but the contract between the hotel, the Riviera, and Las Pegasus Unicon was that they would pay as they went rather than pay the whole sum up front. And I guess it worked out at first, but then come Sunday, there wasn't enough money to cover it. And I think it's still kind of foggy whether or not the money was there was actually enough money before that and it was gone, or if even the money that they did have was not, sufficient. So there was all kinds of stuff going on with that, and pretty much the main idea you need to take from LPU, aside from all the other drama, is that there was money issues. There were a lot of money issues, and that is what ultimately drove it to the not really chaos, but a lot of the drama that we've seen spewed forth since. And basically, the biggest thing, to me at least, was not so much necessarily that they couldn't pay the hotel. They could not pay a lot of the stuff for the voice actors or the show staff, as well as different guests. For instance, Derpy Squad from Derpy Hooves News was told that his room would be comped, paid for by the staff and, given to the hotel, and everything was going to be good. Well, turns out the hotel shows up, says, you know what, and basically kicks him out of the room because it wasn't paid for. And this wasn't just him, it was quite a few of the other media organizations, other, musicians, stuff like that. And also a lot of the voice actors didn't get, some of their appearance fees or things of that nature. So that is all a money thing, mainly. I mean, that was the big issue here. And because from what I'm told by a lot of people, the actual content was actually a lot of fun, at least through Sunday, and then even some on Sunday. It was still a lot of fun, but the whole money issue, drug it down for sure. I guess also a lot of the artists were kind of miserable I don't want to speak about all the artists, but I know quite a few that I follow on Twitter, know personally, etc. I said that it was kind of miserable in the artist den, and Oh, another big thing that I forgot to mention. This con, the con organizers expected a couple thousand people to attend this.
I heard like 2,000 was what they're expecting.
I've heard even more than that.
Whoa. Okay,
There
then.
was I was told by a person who was involved with in a Skype con chat that they mentioned something like 4,000 to 5,000.
Oh, wow.
I cannot confirm that, but that is what I have heard from a source who apparently was in the chat. That is, for a first year convention. Let's just go down the list here. For a first year convention, that's definitely shooting for the stars. Canterlot Gardens was able to get about 2,000, and that was pretty good for a first year. 4,000, that's really pushing it. Not to mention, this is the other big part, to me at least, this happened in February. So, everybody's still in school. It's kind of cold. Not a lot of people are traveling.
Right.
So, as a result, not a lot of people are going to be able to travel as much as they normally might be able to if it was in, say, July. Granted, Vegas is probably, scorching hot at that point of the year, but, at least there's it's air conditioned inside, so, whatever. But February is just not necessary. I mean, granted, it's been a couple months since we had a con, so it's not like it was right after a big con. So people had time to save up, but not everybody can necessarily, get out there because of issues with school or things of that nature. So, and finally, the other big thing here to remember, and this is not so much about February or when it happened, it was more so about the fact that there are so many cons. And because there are so many cons, more people have to choose which cons to go to. And as a result, I think this is the first big casualty we've seen of this, where people have to decide, okay, where can I actually go? Not everybody can make, 5 or 6 cons a year. Some people are only going to be able to make 1, maybe 2, if that. And they got to make decisions, and sometimes the decision might be, go to Vegas in February or go to, I don't know, California in May, for instance, or Maryland in August. That's a big decision to make, and I think there's a very good chance people chose other cons rather than this one. Other cons they expect will be getting about the same show staff, guests, so that is really what it sounds like did them in to begin with. Not to mention money.
Right.
And which we already mentioned, but apparently they didn't have enough money to cover the costs of everybody they brought in. And that probably goes back to the fact that they were expecting a lot more people than they ended up getting. So, expecting, a couple thousand people to show up, all paying for autographs, all paying for, so on and so forth, would possibly conceivably cover the costs for all that. But if you only get I heard anywhere between 800 and 1,200. That's the range I've heard, somewhere in there.
Right.
If you're only getting that many, that's still a solid number, I think, especially for a first year con. But if you really shot for the stars like they did, it's not to mention also, they jacked up the prices for this thing. It was like $80 before registration closed. That's intense. Most places around here are in the ballpark of about 20 to 40. Occasionally you'll have like a $50 or whatever for some of the bigger ones. $80 is crazy. And so I've kind of meandered around a lot with what's gone on here. But I didn't really have a set like path per se. But this is troubling, I gotta say. And I haven't even got really into some of the biggest parts of it, in that they're apparently the 2 main con organizers. And this would be Sandy. She usually just goes by Sandy, I guess. Sandy Haas and her husband, Eddie Haas. Apparently haven't been seen nor heard from since, at first people were saying Thursday, or not Thursday, Saturday, around the time a fire alarm went off.
Yeah.
But I'm now hearing that they were apparently there on Sunday too, so, or at least Sandy was, so that apparently isn't a thing. But they were not really seen much on Sunday, and there was the rumor, the theory, what have you, that the money was there, but the money was taken. Money was possibly taken by these two who have not been seen nor heard from since Sunday, since all this stuff started going down, and basically a ragtag group of Brony Media and people left over from the con, volunteers and such, pretty much ran the rest of the thing.
By the way, big applause to those guys for, stepping up and making the best of a bad situation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But nowhere to be seen or nor heard from still, to my knowledge, unless that they've finally, contacted someone, which I think we would have heard about it by now if that was the case. And maybe by the time this episode is released, they will have been heard from. So if that's the case, I apologize for, incorrect, or I guess it's correct now, but incorrect then, information. But no, they haven't been heard of at this point. And this is Monday. No, this is Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is. This has been going on for about 2 days. We'll put it that way. And that's troubling, especially because there was a lot of stuff going on, especially on boards like 4chan and so on and so forth. Looking up these people and trying to figure out, what their background is, because a lot of people didn't really hear about them before this con. And there was a couple instances where they found an address that the con was linked back to. Or it was either the con or it was the business that they run. And the location was a worn down house that it looked like it hadn't been lived in years. And I'm told also that Sandy and Eddie live in a trailer home, which, trailer home to running a convention with a lot of money at stake here. It's very interesting. But so pretty much what happened is the Brony Media, especially Everfree, Equestria Daily, so on, media groups like that, Bronyville, they kind of banded together to try to get some money raised. They've done a Kickstarter at this point. There's also a Brony auction, with different stuff to try to help raise money. And there was a lot of money raised even at the con for voice actors and for other people who needed help or just needed, trying to cover the costs here. And but it's still an ongoing thing from what I can see. There's still people. There might even still be people stranded in Vegas.
That's what I've heard. I've heard there are still some people still stranded in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to fly home.
And there are some people who are like just getting back or stuff like that. And, maybe had to put a $200, $300 charge on their card that they didn't have the money for because they told they were getting their rooms comped and they didn't. Or I guess a lot of the musicians were supposed to have, food available for them, plus other things like, the room stuff. Yet again, all that went away. So it's a really messed up situation. Yeah. And this, at first, I'll be honest, I heard about this Las Peg assist, as they've been calling it. And I thought, well, why are we bailing out the con? They screwed up. This shouldn't be our fight.
They've been emphasizing it's not going to the con people.
Exactly. The more I thought about it, it was like, okay, good. They're not giving it to the con. Like, this isn't going for the sake of the con as much as it's for the sake of the people who were at the con who got their lives really screwed up by this. Not permanently per se, but like, in that moment, it's still very tough. So, once again, bravo to the people who have been able to organize this, and to the people who have been able to donate, because it's a lot of money that people lost.
Right.
And getting it all back and allocated is going to be tough, and it's been tough. But it seems like, it's slowly but surely getting through, and that's very good. Like, I'm glad to see that, it's not just like, everybody went home and just, mass chaos. Another thing I want to mention really quick before I don't know what, but I guess there were a lot of red flags raised about the con. Like Daniel Ingram posted his badge for the con, which named him as a voice actor.
Yeah, I heard about that.
M.A. Larson's name was spelled wrong. The vendor badges, it was spelled VENDER. Now, this isn't anything new, as you might recall when I talked about Candlelight Gardens. The security shirts read security, so this is nothing new necessarily, but it definitely seemed like there was a bit of a disconnect almost, like, especially with the Daniel Ingram part. It's like, why do you put him as
that up?
Yeah. So it just all makes you wonder, and this is the whole big thing here, this is the big rumor, was this a scam? Did did Sandy and Eddie, put this all on and make away with the cash, and whatever cash there was? And there's a lot of people who believe that, and there's a lot of people also who say, I don't know about that, but I think everybody can agree at this point that it's definitely shady, that they haven't come forward and been like, okay, we're here, we're trying to figure this out, we're going to make this right. No, it's nothing. The Twitter account as of 10:46 Eastern Standard Time Tuesday night has not been posted to since I believe it was Sunday. It was a tweet saying that the Sunday schedule had changed a little bit, and that's been it. I'll be honest here. I do have Sandy on Skype because I had to speak with her for Daily Oat business, and she signed on 2 times, at least that I've seen. I haven't spoken with her because this is not necessarily my business. I have not been personally wronged, and I'm sure other people have her Twitter too, so if they really want to get the story, they'll get it themselves. But point is, I mean, she's around, so it's gonna be interesting, and I don't know. What do you think about all this?
Oh my God, that's what I've been thinking. Because at first I was like, "What is this Las Pegasus? What's this?" I thought when I saw the Las Pegasus, I thought it was like some sort of like charity thing. I was like, wasn't paying much attention at first, and then I'm like, "Wait, we're bailing out the convention? What happened?" And then I'm like, "Oh, okay." So then I watched that video they had. That was like 13 minutes of them, the 2 guys explaining what's going on. And it's like, okay, so we got voice actors and stuff, like, who had now suddenly foot the bill they were told that was going to be paid. And I heard like all these show staff people like all waive their appearance fee because of this, but they still have to foot the bill for the hotel and flying back home and all this stuff when they were supposed to be comped. And I didn't even realize how bad it was until I was hearing, oh, now we got also normal people being kicked out of the hotel, and now some of them are stuck. And it's like, oh, this whole thing, just watching this melt down over like 48 hours is insane. I mean, it's like what exactly happened? I'm just sitting there, it's like running through my head, like, what happened to get to this point? It's like, the common theories is like they just overestimated how much money they were going to get. There was a scam, or I think one thing it might have just been, I've heard like someone put forward the theory of possible some sort of clerical error, like they just forgot to account for some expenses.
Mm-hmm. Which is possible, like, for sheer con. Yeah, who knows?
They just like, it's like I've done this before. Like I'll like budget my monthly. I did this a long time ago. I like budget myself for the month and forget to account for like gas, and then I'll like, why am I going over budget by like $100 every month? Oh,
yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know, but it just kind of scares me that possibly that these two people might have just scammed this all these people and just ran off. It's like, it's kind of scary that could have happened so easily. It's like, but I've been also thinking about it. It's like someone said this. It's like that is probably the best possible outcome. It's like, oh, it's these two jerks who ran off with the money rather than just gross incompetence on everyone's part.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just two people committing a crime, it's like, oh, they'll be indicted and that will be that. Well, and it'll be a little bit better. But it's like, like Tara Strong, if you follow her on Twitter, which most of you probably do, she like is tweeting about how now this whole situation is shaking her. Now she doesn't want to go to any of these other startup cons that are starting up. So anyone else who's like wants to starting up this year, all 20 some odd cons are starting this year. It's like you're going to have a much tougher time getting all this show staff to agree now. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that tweet from Tara,
Yeah, so this is one of those things. This is gonna affect the con scene as a whole. It's like anyone who's not been previously established is gonna be hit hard by this, probably.
Very possible, yeah. Yeah, I think even people who are established, this could affect them too. Especially if they're later in the year and they haven't really done a lot with voice actors yet.
Right.
Like say Everfree or BronyCon, for instance, they may already have stuff squared away and just haven't announced it. I'm not saying that this is for sure going to hit them, but it does make you wonder, what if Hasbro catches wind of this, as I'm sure they probably have, and they say, well, we're just cutting this off. And maybe even conventions that have announced, like let's say, for instance, you have Cutie Mark Con that's announced under Elim and a couple other voice actors. What if Hasbro says, no, this isn't actually going to happen, and that's that, and they're not coming. I guess it's supposedly almost happened to BronyCon one year. I forget which year, but it almost happened there, like where someone was announced and then Hasbro possibly retracted, but then they ended up being okay again. But what if that happens? And it's going to spell trouble for people who for anybody who, for any cons like that. Well, it's going to potentially, I should say, cause trouble for anybody who is running a con, thinking about running a con, because and you want to get like show staff. I should make that point. If you want to get show staff, if you don't care about getting show staff, if you're all about the fandom, I mean, this doesn't really affect you as much. But if you're a con getting show staff, which is to say most of them, or at least most of them are trying to, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's just going to, it's one of those things, is like, we talked about this, there's over 30 cons planned that we know of. And let's be honest, it's too many, and this is gonna. I think that's probably the only maybe positive that comes out of this. A lot of them just like, okay, we can't do this, we gotta shut down. It's like the only positive is it's gonna cull a lot of the cons possibly. It's like getting down to a more manageable number. Of course, a lot of people say that's not positive. Are you crazy? It's like, no, it's kind of positive, because it is. With so many conventions, this is insane, because it doesn't help, because like that's probably part of the reason, like you were saying earlier, like they were expecting 2,000 to 5,000 people and they only got 8 to 1,200 or so, or whatever. And part of it probably was there's so many conventions to choose from. So if this actually, then that might be that silver lining. Just these cons, like, okay, we can't deal with this, we're gonna just have to cancel everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely worrying if you're invested in the con scene, and I think this was a big year for cons, and not necessarily a big year in a positive way. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of cons, there were a lot of unknowns, and a lot of possibilities of things going wrong, especially with Hasbro's recent ceases and desists and stuff like that. This could just be, I mean, February already has, well, I shouldn't say February already, it's almost done by now, but February's been a crazy month for stuff, and this just could be the start of something, a rapid change in what we've known about the fandom before now. It may definitely change. We might look back a year from now and, it might be unrecognizable. So people enjoy it while you can, because, who knows? Who knows if we'll even have cons we'll have cons in a year, I shouldn't say that, but who knows if we'll even have cons like the ones that we've grown to expect.
Right.
Because this could definitely affect some things. It's tough to say at this point because we're still dealing with the aftershocks in the sense of people trying to, get back home and being able to not be totally broke at this point. We're still dealing with that, so it's hard to say so far what's going to happen, but I'm sure we'll hear something soon.
Right. I hope we do.
And even if the general public doesn't, I'm sure the con staffs will. And even if they don't even say anything to the public, they'll at least be able to tell that, like, hey, this isn't really going to work as well for us anymore. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And I just want to say, the sooner that the con staff say something, the better. They need to know that just shutting up is not good for them right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been checking Twitter, trying to follow along, trying to find any sort of, anything, but no luck as of yet. So
just speculation and drama and hearsay.
Yeah, it's starting to slow down at this point, but it's still there. People are still wondering, what's up. So
one interesting theory I got put forward is it was just basically, I think there's just one of those things you just weren't thinking, because it's Vegas, because Vegas is big and extravagant, and they just decided rather than being small, they decided to go all out.
Oh, that is what they
crazy.
From talking to Sandy, they wanted to go all big, and that was Vegas.
It's Vegas.
It's just a question of, did they have the resources to do so?
It looks like no. Either that or
another thing someone said was that maybe they gambled it all away like Saturday night or something.
Oops.
And we're like, oops, LOL, bye.
Bye. Yeah. But I wanted to also say that some of the show staff and whatnot and even big fan people are trying now also stepping. M.A. Larson now has 4 auctions up to help raise money to get people home. Pixel Kitties has put up 2 auctions. Megan McCarthy says she's planning to raise some money as well. So there's that. If these aren't dead by the time we go live, I'll probably put links to them in the description.
Right.
It's just this is we've had shaky cons and just weird stuff happening at cons and drama behind the scenes, but nothing really that affected the con too much itself.
All those cons were returning. No one's really said.
Yeah.
The only ones that haven't returned, or at least said they weren't going to return for a brief period, it's either because... Actually, I don't really know why. I know Candlelight Gardens, it was an investor issue, but they're apparently possibly back now, and then just Midwestria. It was never, which I heard was one of the best run cons there was. It's certainly no big drama, bad thing like this, even though we should say it wasn't just all the staff. It wasn't all the staff that did this. There were people, a lot of the volunteers and stuff that were apparently fantastic. So this is definitely not any sort of thing against the staff as a whole. I think this is mostly focused at whoever the core staff was, which is even hard to figure out. I'll tell you what, and if anybody listening out there hasn't figured this out yet, the staff page of Las Vegas Unicon's website is no longer on the front page. It's still there, though, if you know the direct link. I still have it. I have it favorited at this point in case someone needs it. But they took that down sometime during the con. And that has the straight up names of everybody who was a main, part of the con.
That's kind of worrying that they did that.
Yeah, especially what I thought was especially interesting was that, and I still haven't actually really seen this connection, but a lot of people were just saying, Sandy, and they didn't know her last name. it's listed right there on the page, Sandy Haas. And in fact, actually says Sandy, the spelling is Adao, Adao maybe, Sandy Adao Haas. And that's the name listed. But people weren't finding that. And then Edward Haas. And then from there, it's a couple people, some of which I recognize from the community, some of which I know are part of the Las Vegas group. One quick thing, by the way, and this is just something I found on my own, and maybe other people found this too. If this, let's go with the possibility this is a scam. In 2010, I believe, at the time, and maybe they still do, I'm not sure, but at the time, Sandy and Edward ran a pet rescue center, I guess, or something of the sort in Vegas, and I believe it might have been called Curious Critters, something along those lines. They reported a break-in a couple weeks after opening, and it was covered by a local news service, and they said that things had been stolen and stuff like that. Well, again, let's say this is like a scam. People have scammed like that before too, or tried to at least, by saying, my things are broken into, things were stolen. Maybe they weren't actually stolen. They are trying to get the money for it. I don't want to pass judgment here and say, that this was a scam, but I'm just trying to present, that was a line of thought, and, keeping with that line of thought, I found that news article. I thought that was very interesting, because, what if that was something too? And it's interesting for sure. It's just like, insane. Wow. I did not expect this,
Yeah.
I know, I kind of had some doubts, I'll be honest, when, before the con started, I was like, this is a big thing. I hope they can pull this off. I couldn't tell if it was actually really going to go very well or not. And, as it turns out, I guess it went pretty well for a while, but something caught up. I don't know what, but it sounds like some sort of money mainly, but yeah. Don't start cons if you don't have the money for it.
Indeed. Just don't be stupid about it. I mean, seriously. Okay. Wait a minute. Hold up. Looks like I'm looking at Las Vegas's Unicon site, and apparently they put a statement up on the front page.
Oh, hey.
Let's see. As explanations, offer apologies, best of intentions, guilty of naive. Okay, they're just saying they messed up. They acted on bad advice, financially gouged, negative changes, backup proven ineffective.
All right.
Let's see. Last-minute add-ons by hotel, convention center employees. On top of 5-month swim through the lies and misdirections, equipment rental charges, unauthorized transportation charges, unmentioned Unilabor costs, 24 other unexpected last week costs. Budget was depleted. Let's see. Celebrity agents have all received money from us, both prior to the convention and during. We have records of payments totaling in excess of $40,000 to various agents. Let's see. An unknown amount of cash was witnessed on more than one occasion on Sunday, being directly removed by an agent of the Stars from our cash box. Additionally, all monies raised by EFN's fundraiser and all the sales went uncounted. They say, when they say unaccounted, they mean they have no record themselves. Not that EFN didn't keep records. We did not abandon Unicon. We realized things have escalated beyond our experience and staff could manage, and thus effective management was transferred from us to EFNW. At this point, we were grateful for the willing assistance. We did our best to help more experienced folks salvage the convention. When it came to monies, the hands of the star agents were constantly being filled, whether it be autographs or due to the chaotic nature of the con at this stage and the completely utter refusal of the agents to sign records. An exact ledger of what was received was impossible to produce. Some attendees to suffer from questionable tactics employed by the Riviera Hotel, most notably ignoring all payments made by Unicon. So basically, it looks like they're saying it's the hotel's fault. Hotel.
A lot of finger pointing.
Yep.
It begins, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I had to go here manually because the link I was given was broken, but yeah.
Well, so I guess I don't know if we'll edit parts or we'll put a disclaimer at the front of that saying that new info came as we were here.
Yeah. So they finally, I guess they finally decided to make a statement, and here it is.
Yeah, so this is very interesting, and I'm sure more will be coming in the coming days, probably while we're editing this, of course.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
It always works that way.
But yeah, keep an eye on this for sure, especially if you're one of the ones affected by this.
Yes. It's just kind of interesting, though. Just, yeah, their statement is basically, it's not our fault, it's the fault of the hotel and convention center basically gouging us.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, now you've heard their view. You've heard rumors by other people and views of people who were there as well. And all we can do is sit back and wait and see how this ends up. Grab your popcorn. This is going to get even... I have a feeling this is going to get even worse.
This gonna be good.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I guess that's it for Unicon. There's not much more we can say.
Yeah.
And I guess I have one little final thing. Recently, as most are well aware, the first of the Micro-series for the My Little Pony comics came out. It's the Twilight Sparkle issue. It just came out last week. I got my copy today. Finally. Mm-hmm. And I just want to talk about it a little bit. For one thing, it's not the same artist who's done the mainline series so far. It is Thomas Zahler, I think. Zahler. I don't know exactly. I might butcher it both times. But yeah, it says it kind of implies each issue of the Micro-series focuses on one character, the main six. This one's Twilight. It's definitely got a different format than the other one. This one's got the more traditional, boxes, box panels, white lines between each panel, etc., etc. It's just basically Twilight's in Canterlot and for a test, and then Celestia wants to assign Twilight something else, basically helping someone at the Royal Archives get around because she broke her leg recently, because apparently in Equestria they don't just shoot them when they break their legs. So yeah, it's even Spike's left out. I mean, he's like in the first few pages, and then nope, Spike, you can't help with this. It's all Twilight.
LOL.
Yep. So yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but it's basically she gets there to help, and the person's very crotchety and mean and doesn't want help at all, and Twilight has to trick her way into getting in, and from there on out, it's just a story about the two of them trying to get just interacting with each other. I want to say okay, so it's not very long. Which makes sense because it's a micro issue, but yeah, I guess it's about the same length as the issues we've had before, but since it's a self-contained story, it feels shorter. The art style, it's still good, but I don't like it as much as the mainline series so far. It just a few things here and there just look weird, particularly this one bit in one of the first, like on the third or the second page where Celestia just looks really weird. It's just, if you remember the Lion Twilight official artwork from way back when, it kind of reminds me of that, which is not good. But other than a few weird missteps, in my opinion, for the most part, the art is pretty good. The dialogue works. There's a lot of little references, particularly to lots of books, which makes sense. Just the story itself is fine. The dialogue's great. But artwork, I'm not as big of a fan of the mainline stuff. But I still recommend picking it up.
Okay. Cool. I'm sure I will here eventually, as I tend to with all the comics. I just haven't gotten to this one yet.
Yeah, and once again, there's there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 variants.
Dang, son.
Look it up, once again, iTunes, Comixology, your local comic book store, tfaw.com, midtowncomics.com, etc., etc.
Cool.
Yep. By the way, it's also, again, still $4. So, I guess that's our episode this week.
Yeah. No fan content this week because...
Yeah.
A, we forgot. B, I forgot at least. B, you should support all the... Definitely go out and support all the artists and musicians and so on and so forth. that were affected with this whole Las Pegasus issue, with losing money and such. There's a lot of links online that you can go to make a donation. So they might all be okay by the time this is out, but I have a feeling that there will still be some people who might need a little help with funds. So if you in any way can help out, donate even a little bit, I'm sure they'll all very much appreciate it. So,
Indeed.
I mean, we wouldn't have a fan content section without them, and so let's, if you can, kind of help pay them back to say, thank you for what you've done. This is definitely a good, I guess, way to show that. Like, hey, here's some money. If you don't do that already by like commissioning or buying albums and such. I can tell a lot of people were very disillusioned. A lot of people were very just upset with the fact that they lost some things, and yeah. So I want to see the fandom happy again. It seems like it's been forever since they were. It was
so
whatever
about everything.
There's been a lot of that recently. Yeah, it's like
some of it. You shouldn't be that upset. This stuff like this though, definitely should be upset about.
Nemesis, can we go back to February 2011?
But then I wouldn't have seen the finale yet.
Yeah, but can we just go back to when there was like 2 people in the thing? There really wasn't that many though. God.
Yeah, I remember.
It's weird. It's just weird to think about like back then, and then look at it now. Look what we ended up doing with our lives.
The curse of a large fandom.
Exactly.
Such as life. Anyway. If you are part of the fandom and want to still stick around despite all the negativity and perhaps listen to us, you can find us on iTunes. Just search for Pony411. You can also get us directly on Libsyn, pony411.libsyn.com. You can also find us on YouTube, .com/pony411. You can follow us on Twitter at Pony411. We're on Facebook.com/pony411. And of course, you can email us, pony411podcast@gmail.com. That's about it for this episode, and so next week we'll come back with something. I don't know yet, but we'll have something for you.
Something will happen.
We'll figure things out. We don't have episodes to talk about. We gotta figure out what to actually do. I can't just lazily say, "Oh, we're gonna talk about the episode." No, we gotta figure stuff out. What is this?
It's gonna be like when we first started out.
Oh God,
we had to actually come up with discussion topics. Well, I mean, we were terrible too, and we still are. But at least, but we had to come up with discussion topics. Then we'll have to do that again.
I guess
it can't just be every week of why is Alicorn Twilight so great this week?
Why not?
We can't let Nemesis do that. We just can't. It's not good.
My wings are so pretty.
I hope she says something like that.
Oh, please.
I'm sure she will. But I'm sure we'll come up with some sort of weird discussion, and everybody can join in. And by the way, people should comment on this. There were a lot of comments last week. I was really happy about that, even though I wasn't there. I still looked at it. I was like, oh yeah, people talking. People be talking about things.
Oh yes.
And I think a lot of people are going to have opinions about LPU too. So
oh yes,
by all means, send us some. Send us some comments but seriously though, don't yell at us about any rumors. We're just repeating what's already been said.
Yes, so please also
many
take
times
off your
in a lot
hats.
of cases. This isn't necessarily things we're just coming up with here. Like, well, except for I think I came up with except for that whole thing with their 2010 being stolen. But I mean, I'm not saying that's actually what happened. I'm just saying that's interesting. But at any rate,
yes, at any rate, have fun. Try to stay positive in the next few weeks. Hopefully we don't. Well, I'd actually prefer to come up with our own topic rather than having just something like this dumped into our laps again.
Yeah, exactly.
So just remember, unlike people in Vegas who try to take money from naive people or scam or whatever happened, please pony responsibly.
Especially with money at cons.
Yes.
Please do that. Please, everybody do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Bye.
Keeps happening.
I'm dying.